Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm amazing. It makes a nice change to sort of be on the receiving end of the questions for once, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking this earlier. I was getting all nervous because I was like, I've been listening to your podcast, I've read your book, and you just seem like so chatty.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, now I've got to be the one asking you all the questions. I'm like, oh, I'm scared.
How do you prepare for these conversations?
To be honest with you,
don't?
I just do a bit of research on the person,
Right.
and I kind of leave it as though, although it's like a chit chat, catch up.
Right.
I want it to be super casual for the listener, and I want people to just see a bit more of my personality. And I want, the main motivation behind this was, I want people to see that everyone is the same. No matter whether you're a footballer, a singer, an entrepreneur, a bloody millionaire, someone that does content, anything, I want people to see that we're all just the same, going through the same shit.
That's do you know that took me a long time to figure that out in my own like podcast and my own like content journey and like interviewing people, and that is now after almost 100 episodes what I say to my team. It's like
Really,
I was expecting
100?
almost, I think we're like
Wow.
95. I was expecting to find these like wild differences, like fundamental differences, but when you sit down with 100 successful people, it's funny, you can almost predict before you meet them what must have happened in their early years for them to be who they are now.
Yeah.
And it because it became so almost predictable, that's why I realized as well that there's so many like fundamental similarities. And I think that's liberating. For me, like when knowing that we're all the same and this like human experience is a shared one, for me was like a really liberating thing, because it means that when I go through heartbreak, or if I have this bad relationship with my parents, or if this happens, it's not just me. It's not because I'm a dumbass.
No.
It's, you know.
It makes it so much more, I almost feel more accepted. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's a weird word to
Yeah.
use, but when other people feel my pain, I'm like, I sit back and I'm like, cool, this is how it's meant to be. Like you're meant to go through some shit sometimes.
Yeah, everybody does.
And we all do it. It all
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
But I want you to introduce yourself to everybody. I like to give my
gosh.
guests their own introduction.
My name's Stephen Bartlett. I'm an entrepreneur and a podcaster, and I'm the new Dragon on Dragon's Den on the BBC. And I think that's it, really. I think that's what I do.
You do a bit of everything.
Yeah,
Which I love.
I do a lot of other things in and around that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I also don't like think of myself in terms of labels. I think of myself in terms of like the things that I enjoy, and
This
such
was-
a huge range of them.
Yeah, this was one thing that, because I read your book, which is incredible, Happy Sexy
Oh
Millionaire.
yeah, thank you.
I'm obsessed. This was one of the
No, you're
things.
not. I'm
I
joking.
swear to you. And I was like, okay, I want to read this, because we had a chat, and I was like, no, now I've actually heard your voice, had a conversation with you, I need to read this book. One of the things that stuck out for me the most was the fact you don't want to put labels on yourself, which is what I do all the time, and literally what I've really tried not to do, but it's so hard.
Yes.
How did you get to that point? Was there something that you had to like go through, or?
So there's a couple of things. The reason I think we label ourselves in society, whether it's like black, even things like poor, or even things like mum, or entrepreneur, or whatever, or singer, or X Factor, whatever, we typically do that because we want to understand ourselves, but also to be understood. Often we're doing that to put ourselves into like social groups and communities, but also the outside world wants to understand you in a very short period of time. So if I say entrepreneur or whatever, then they understand. If I say X Factor contestant, then they understand me. And it's like, it's a way to, we're tribal animals, so it's a way to like find our own tribes and to fit into one and to be understood, etc. But then there's like an adverse consequence to it, which is what I came to learn. Like when I left my business, Social Chain, was probably the first time I really had to think about who I was, because I built this huge public reputation as being this social media CEO. And so what then happens is, because of that label, you then continue to move in that direction, but also you continue to move in that direction. However, humans are such like multifaceted, multi-dimensional things, and we're not any particular label. We've seen the harm and risk of like binary labeling people when it comes to sexuality or whatever else. We live on these like crazy spectrums where like you can't call. I'm not just like, even me. Society calls me black, It's like, my dad is completely white. He is like whiter than sugar. My mum is like blacker than black.
Yeah.
But I am a mixture of things. And allowing myself, freedom of the mind for me is allowing yourself to live as a mixture of things, not to have to fit into left politically or right politically or black or white. I think that is a form of imprisonment, and the psychology is super clear. Whenever we imprison ourselves, whether it's when we say we are, straight and we have urges that are outside of that, or we say we are this and we have urges outside of that, psychology is super clear. People have like serious psychological issues. And coming out of my business, I thought to myself, the best thing that I can do for my own mental health and my own mental well-being is to completely ignore all of the labels that I give myself and also society would give me, because as well, those labels come with a set of instructions as to how you want to behave. So I left my business and I thought, who am I? Well, I'm Stephen, and there's like a bunch of shit I enjoy, tons of it, right? And again, society will tell you to find your passion, which alludes to the fact that you have this binary, singular, Easter egg-like passion that you can go find. And I thought, no, I'm multiple things. I love music. I love building businesses. I'm intrigued by like psychedelics, and I love the theatre. I've got like theatre posters in my office. I love football, Manchester United, boxing. I do all of these things now.
Manchester United?
Yeah.
Hold on a minute.
But I do all of these things now. So, and I love it, and I love the look on people's faces. And for me, that is like psychological freedom.
Yeah.
Like I'm a huge investor in a psychedelics business. I'm
Really?
the creative director at the big $3 billion psychedelics business, which has just gone public. I work at Huel. I build my own businesses. I'm DJing every weekend. I'm learning new languages.
I saw you DJing. Is that a new thing?
It's new. You can probably tell from my the
No,
sound of it,
I can't tell from the sound. I just think it's sick because.
Then how did you know it was new?
Because I just thought I've not really heard you do that before. You mentioned it on a podcast you did with somebody.
Yeah.
But I love that because, like, on the opposite side of things, I was the complete opposite. I'm really trying to push through these barriers every day. Like, even me doing this is so out of my comfort zone, but it's something that I wanted to do. Yeah. And straight away I was like, oh no, people are going to think this, people are going to think that. I'm a singer, I have to be a singer. Everything I post on my Instagram needs to be work, singing, something to do with work.
Sounds like jail. Like
it
even
does
the word
sound,
comfort
and
zone.
it fucking is. It is
imagine
jail.
visualizing this comfort zone. I'd draw this circle around you and I'd say, don't you fucking dare leave that.
Yeah.
Regardless of the fact that you
It's
like
horrible.
1,000 things, and you are
I've only done
things.
it to myself, and this is another thing I learned from
Society's
your
done
book.
it to you as well, though. It's really tried to understand you and say, who are you? Which group do you fit into? You know, and it's hard to be an anomaly in society. Because it comes with like, where do I fit in some of my friendship groups? What do I say? How do I dress? If I'm an anomaly, so we converge because that's safety. That's what we did in our tribes. And that behavior helped us survive once upon a time, but it's not going to help us thrive 10,000 years later when our goal is no longer survival.
Yeah.
We're like good there.
And people want to box you up. Like, I don't know why.
And we want to be boxed.
Yeah.
Look at school.
It's just crazy. Oh, don't talk to me about
at school.
honestly.
I
was awful at school.
Really?
I was awful at school. I hated it. I just hated the idea you had to put your hands up to ask to go for a wee.
Oh, yeah.
What's that all about?
As well, yeah.
Like, I just didn't understand it, and I always got told off for asking questions. I always got told off for having too much of an opinion on things.
Yeah.
And then I kind of backed down and suppressed my opinions on myself, and that was just the start of, like, suppressing myself. Yeah.
That's psychological prison as well.
Yeah.
Not expressing yourself.
It's difficult. It's really hard to get out of.
I went and did this show, Secret Teacher, where I went undercover in a school for Channel 4. And I just remember thinking, all these boys have the same haircut. And they all have the same Under Armour bag. And I thought, like that, and I was the same in school. I wanted the Fred Perry when that was called. Then I wanted the Stone Island and the Rockport. And then I was just conforming to survive. School is like a microcosm of what life is like for a lot of people, where we start to just try and conform to groups, and then that actually is like really detrimental. The minute I left school, I became this anomaly. The minute I left Plymouth, where I was the only black kid in an all-white school of 1,500 kids, desperately straight, I had relaxed my hair to make it straight. I was clearly trying to be white and middle class as desperately as I could, and it wasn't good for me. And when I left that environment, I just thought, fuck it, I'm going to be Steve. Lost all my friends, which everybody does when they go in search of who they actually are. Yeah. And it worked out for me in the end, but not easy.
No, it's not easy. Did you feel like you know, when you left and you said you lost all your friends,
Yeah.
did you feel, like, how did you deal with that? Because it's obviously not a very easy thing. Like, I'm like, I don't want to lose them, but I do. I was like in this battle.
So, like, the most important thing, definitely, according, again, to all the psychology that I've read, and I talk about it in my book, is being yourself. And when people aren't themselves, when they try and escape themselves and become something else, if they succeed, they despair. This is like century-old, like Swedish psychology, philosophy. When they succeed in becoming someone they're not, they experience despair because they've actually abandoned themselves. If they fail in becoming someone they're not, so if they try and become someone they're not and they fail, then they also despair because they failed at becoming someone they're not. So it's you come down this flow chart and it goes, so the only way to avoid despair is to not try and abandon yourself and to just be yourself. So if you believe that, and if you say, okay, for me to be truly happy, psychologically stable, and be fulfilled, I have to just pursue myself and be myself. If that is your North Star, the consequence of that is, okay, losing a bunch of people that resonated with the old you, the fake you, which you are not and you cannot be. So the decision for me is super clear. I don't give a fuck. I don't know if I can swear, but I have no choice but to be myself. If happiness is my North Star, I have no choice. So if you don't resonate with me for who I am, that's actually probably, in the long term, I'm doing myself a service because I'm like decluttering the house and then slowly rebuilding, you know, the house with furniture which is more akin to who I actually am. You just have no choice. And I've watched multiple people go through that process. Success does that to you very quickly. You start to not resonate with the old lot, and also pursuing who you actually are, truly are inside, will do the same thing. You'll have a big clear out, and then slowly you'll collect people that are more, you know, are meant to be there.
On your wavelength.
You have no choice. It's not a choice thing for me. Like,
that's really inspiring, because I always found that really difficult. I was always been in a bit of a limbo, to be honest. I think when I came into this crazy world of success and X Factor and everything, it all happened really quickly for me, and it was like I literally went from school to X Factor, so it was really hard to go into two completely different worlds. I was so young and naive, and I had all these friends that I really wanted to grow out of, to be honest. Even now I'm like, oh, don't hate me. But yeah, literally.
I don't care.
But it was hard. It was so hard because I was so young, and I didn't really learn this shit properly till now. Like, now I'm ready to let go of everything that doesn't serve me, and it still actually feels uncomfortable. I would be lying if I said it didn't. But I actually think it's really great how you just have this mentality, and it's obviously not come easy. It's probably taken you a bit of time, or has it? Has it just come out of nowhere? Is it just like, whatever?
I just think I'm so attached to that, like, North Star that everything is secondary. So, like, that's why I say I don't care. Like, I don't care. I'll go on my podcast and I'll say things about my family and whatever else, and I just care about being happy. If you don't like me and I'm myself, then it is what it is. But I have to be myself. That's why I say you have no choice. You know, unless you want to live a miserable life, unless you want to be unfulfilled, unless you want to be unsuccessful, unless you want to experience despair, misery, anxiety, depression. If that's what you want, then go fake it. Like, go be straight when you're gay. That'll make you depressed, and probably that'll increase your chance of suicide. Go hang out with people that you know you don't actually resonate with. Go do a job that isn't true to who you are. You'll be depressed. That's, like, the science is clear. We don't have to do the experiment on you. We've done it on a billion other people, and the science is super clear. If that's what I don't want that. I want to, like, live my life on my terms for me.
It really is that simple.
Because I want to be happy, and so it's not a choice. And any carnage and destruction that is caused by me going in the pursuit of myself, I'm totally okay with. Because fundamentally, I actually think selfishness is the route to, like, true selflessness. I think me being totally selfish and pursuing it's like, my mum's a prime example. I call my mum, I'm dropping out of university. She goes, I'll never speak to you again if you do that. I go, yeah, crazy Sarah, love. Like, I hang up the phone, don't speak to her for 3 years.
Wow.
Now I'm paying off her mortgage and buying her new teeth and all sorts. And we both wanted the same outcome. We both wanted my mum to have new teeth. We disagreed on the path, but ultimately, like, the pursuit of me fulfilling myself. I spoke to this monk about it one day, and he said, you can only pour out for others what you have for yourself. And so I filled myself up, and now I can pour out for a lot of people. And so, yeah, I think that's why I value like selfishness.
Whereas if you're chipping away at yourself and you're going down,
People pleasing,
how
you're
are
gonna be
you
empty,
ever
an empty
going to
bottle.
give?
You have nothing
There's
to
nothing
give.
to give.
You have nothing for yourself.
Yeah. And that's so true. It's literally that cliche saying of if you don't love yourself, how are you going to love anyone else?
Yeah, people don't. Yeah, this is why people pleasers have such a rough life, because they just get dragged around serving everyone else but themselves. So they're not very good. You know, they end up actually being really shitty servants for others because they've spent too long doing service. So
yeah. So talk to me about like how you got to where you are now. Like I've read your book.
I'm joking.
I've read your book and it's been like a journey. It really has. But you start like where did you start off?
So I like got like kicked out of school at like 16, 17 for really shitty attendance. I just hated school.
Yeah.
And then went off to university, dropped out after one lecture, figured that wasn't the right path. Because I looked around and I thought, no.
What were you planning on studying then?
I was studying business management.
Right.
And then I decided I'd have a business idea and I'd just do that instead. And that's when I called my mum, said I've got this business idea, I'm going to do it. And then obviously she was like, don't you dare. And then I did it. And then I did that for 3 years. It kind of failed, I guess. But I learned something during it, specifically at the end of it. I was trying to figure out how to get millions of people to come to my website. And then I discovered this thing called social media after trying like flyers, posters, newspaper ads. And then I was like, this social media thing that no one values in like 2012, I was like, the numbers are bigger, it's way cheaper, it makes a ton of sense. So I started building basically like all of the biggest social media pages, hiring everybody at that time that had built big social media pages. So I own like a food page on Instagram with like 8 million followers, sports page on Instagram with 15 million, the biggest gaming page in the world, the biggest student community in the world called Student Problems has like 13 million students on it. Just went on this rampage when I was 21, buying all of the biggest social media pages in the world across like everything. And I own them all. And I got most of them for free because these kids, I just give them a job.
Yeah.
And no one valued these social media pages. So that's where I was. I had like, we were doing 5 billion video views a month on social media, like more than Fox and these big publishing houses. Started a marketing business off the back of that, helping brands to do their social media marketing. Business grew, started doing e-commerce. It's floated on the stock exchange for like 300 million. I left last year. Yeah.
And why did you leave?
Again, it's like, so I'm such a good quitter. I'm like, I reflect and think I'm really good at quitting. Like even the university thing, going there for one day, looking around and being like, nope. And like being cool with the destruction of like my mum and the fact that I really was broke, like really broke. Like when I say broke, I mean like shoplifting Chicago Town pizzas, going into takeaways, being like, have you finished with that? Like really fucking broke. My friend, one of my best friends did a podcast the other day, and it came out yesterday, and I listened to it. And he was talking about coming to my like smashed up council flat in like Moss Side in Manchester and seeing my laptop was just, it had like half the keys were missing, sellotape all round it. I'm like shoplifting like pizzas at the time to feed myself. I was really, really broke. Was talking about quitting.
Why did you quit?
Yeah. Why did I quit Social Chain? I've always been good at quitting, and I've had this like mental framework in my mind that I've never discussed before or written down until I came to writing the book. Because when I quit things, I'm always at like really high peace. I find it comfortable to quit, and for me, I'd realised. I'll take you through my like mental flowchart, because I think quitting is, you know, everyone says quitting is for losers. I always say like quitting is for winners, because
totally.
Quitting is the really underappreciated thing you've got to do before you start the next thing. So like it's all well and good starting, but if you're unable to know how to quit and when is the right time to quit, you will stay in situations that don't serve you for longer than you should. You will like overstay your welcome in like toxic, unserving situations. So the mental framework that I follow when I want to quit something is, okay, I want to quit. Let's say we're in a relationship and I'm like, I think I want to quit this relationship with Louisa. So I ask myself like one of two questions. Am I quitting because it's hard, or am I quitting because it sucks? And you can define sucks however you want to define it, right? Toxic, whatever. If I'm thinking of quitting because it's hard, I then ask myself, is the hardship of this situation worth the potential reward? So everything's hard, marathons are hard, but is it worth it?
Is it worth that feeling at the end?
Is it worth the hardship? Is it worth the struggle? Like some things in life, most things, and in fact, most of the important things you'll ever accomplish are hard, but they're worth it.
Yeah.
They're worth the goal at the end. They're worth the relationship or whatever. If it's hard and it's not worth the return, then quit. Because that's like the worst type of struggle, worthless struggle, like meaningless struggle. But if it's hard, but it is worth the return, carry on going. And that's the end of that side of the flowchart. Let's go back to sucks. I'm thinking of quitting because it just sucks. Situate, whatever. So the question becomes, can I make it not suck? And then if you think, do you know what, there is work I could do, we could go to relationship counseling, I could speak to my boss, whatever, I think I could make it not suck. So let's say yes. If you say no, quit. If you say yes, then is the effort it would take to make it not suck worth the reward? So relationships, you know, we're really struggling in our relationship. We could go to counseling, we could get all of that stuff done, but it's going to be so hard, so much effort, and you're not worth it.
Yeah.
Then I'd quit. If it sucks, I think I can change it, and it's worth the effort it would take to change it, then I'll carry on. In the case of Social Chain and my last business, it sucked. I no longer thought I could change it. Yeah.
I love that though.
Yeah, and for me that it was because, you know, and the reward of changing it would, to be fair, it sucked and I thought I could change it, but the effort it would take to change it was just too much.
Yeah.
And I tried and I thought, oh God, this is just going to be too hard. And what more is this business going to give me now?
Maybe it served you to a point.
Exactly.
And then you have to like grow and
Financially,
evolve from that.
intellectually, my development, it had taken me to like probably 95% of where I could have got to if I stayed another 3 years.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit stagnant in terms of my financial progression and intellectual development. So it was my time to like cut it, go start again.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's really amazing how simple it is.
Because
you can overcomplicate in your head so much. You can ask yourself all these millions of different questions, and then you're like, oh, I don't even know if this is what I want, but is it? Because I enjoy it, and it just gets too messy.
Too much,
so this like bang, bang, bang situation is great.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's in the book. It's in chapter 10.
Yeah.
I just quit my job. And obviously, I don't pull it out every time I'm thinking of quitting and look at it. But that's what my brain does. But the one thing that I think I've really helped me in my life is I'm just very, very logical. So I think of things like that. I think of like, and I wrote it down for the first time ever in my book, and it's genuinely what my brain does. It's like, yeah.
I've always been a shit quitter, to be honest. Really? I've definitely outstayed my welcome in toxic situations.
Do you have a sometimes you're emotional?
Yes.
So
I think I act on emotion.
Yeah.
Way too much.
When emotion goes up, like logical decision making comes down. So it's.
I feel like the past year I've had a huge wake up call. It's like God has just come down and grabbed me, shook me, and said, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah.
Basically.
It happens.
And it needed to happen because I was doing things that didn't make me happy. I was doing things that made other people happy more than myself. I was in friendships, relationships, business relationships, everything that just weren't serving me at all. And I was too scared to leave because I was scared that, I don't know, what they'd say about me. That simple. That's stupid. But, and I'm not even gonna lie, I'm still like, I don't want to do it, or just fucking do it.
How do you feel about death?
I'm not worried about death.
Okay.
Death doesn't really worry me. I have a lot of friends that they're scared of their time running out.
Interesting.
I don't know if I should be a bit more like that. Not like from a fear perspective, because I don't believe in like looking into fear too much. I don't like to think from a place of fear, but at the same time, I almost think I've got all the time in the world. And that was another part of your book that really stuck out to me, is like the sand timer thing that you were talking about. If I need a sand timer in front of me sometimes, I feel like that's how I need to be. A little bit more.
Helps you, like, that's why I always think about that, because one of the things that really helps me like care a lot less about what people think is really realizing that, like the sand timer thing, if you could see a sand timer of the amount of time you have left, even if it was like, you know, the average, I think I said in the book, you get roughly 500,000 hours. So if you could see 500,000 hours like pouring through, just a massive sand timer, just pouring through, you could see it happening. Your time was becoming increasingly like less. I think people would care a shit less about like trivial nonsense and gossip and people's opinions. And that's why when I read Bronnie Ware's study where she like interviews people on their deathbed and says to them, what's the one, they're going to die in like a couple of hours, maybe a day. What's the one thing you regret about your life? It's always the number one most common regret of the dying is that I didn't live a life true to myself, and I allowed other people and their opinions to infiltrate my decision making.
Yeah.
And I just put myself there sometimes and think like, on that day, Steve, you've got cancer. And like one of my friends, she's got brain tumor, and it's stage 4. It's very serious. And I'm like, nothing matters, but like a very small list of things. And I actually think it's on my Instagram stories right now. I said, like, at some point in your life, hopefully you'll come to realize that, in fact, like 1% of the things you care about actually matter, and you should have cared about that 1% way more. And that's it. What is that 1%? It's your mum.
Yeah.
It's like your happiness and what you wanted to achieve in your life. Everything else is just so fucking secondary.
So true.
Jenny's opinion of whether your hair was curly enough or straight enough that day, or whether you had cellulite or whatever, is just, it's absolute like fucking nonsense in the perspective of like, you've got 72 hours left.
Yeah. It's such a society
You know what I mean?
thing though. I feel like we're always, I feel like we're really conditioned to care about the small shit, to distract us from the big stuff.
Well, I don't think human beings are able to appreciate finality and like infinity. So like, I don't think humans are able to think about something being lasting forever. Like they say the universe is infinite. You just think of a big number. You go, okay, think of infinite. You'll go 100, 101. And then you just keep adding on forever. And then the idea that something can come to an end. Like just like a total end. And we don't think we're gonna die. I know that because I see how we live. We live as if we're gonna live forever. We all do. And I just try and do my very, very best, and it's very hard, to not live in such a way. And that helps me make more meaningful decisions and not get tempted into like nonsense. I say to my team all the time, they must hear it on the podcast all the time, I go, but I'm gonna die anyway. It's what I say after I make an almost semi-reckless decision. I'll say, I should say this, anyway. Oh fuck, I'm gonna die anyway. Don't I say that all the time? I go, but fuck it, I'm gonna die anyway.
It's true though. It's something that I've started to tell myself. Like, I'm working with a life coach at the moment, and she said, okay, get some post-it notes out. She's like, write on it, what would deathbed Louisa do? Yeah. And it's actually so depressing looking around my house at what would deathbed Louisa do, but it helps me.
Yeah, it does.
So whatever
Focuses
helps.
you. Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, even like a situation, I don't know, do I want to invite these people to my party? I feel like I have to. Do I though? No.
Yeah.
Are they my friends? No.
If it was your last party?
If it was my last party, would they be there? Fucking no.
No fucking sense.
So why are they coming?
Yeah. Yeah.
So simple. And then it just kind of puts everything into perspective, and you think, what have I been doing all this time?
Yeah.
Wasting my energy on so much shit.
And those like that tough decision today will serve future Louisa in just so many amazing ways.
Yeah.
That like, I don't want those 4 idiots at my party, just like cutting them slowly out of your life. And then you don't have to deal with their bullshit, which has actually which stands the chance of making you miserable for the next 30 years.
It's draining.
Just because you're like, fuck it, they ain't coming to my party. They got the message.
And it's so small.
Such a small
but
little
in the grand
thing.
scheme of things, that'll help me the next time I don't want to do
For
something.
30 years.
And the next time.
Those fuckers won't do their little thing. No, genuinely, like, because obviously I quit my business, and when you're a CEO, you have like, I had 800 employees, whatever, and I had like fake friendships with some of them, because I was their boss. So they come to my desk, Steve, I'm unhappy. Okay, let's have a meeting about why you're fucking unhappy. Like, and you go and sit down, and then some of them were just like, some of them, I ain't give a fuck, like, I'm gonna die. Some of them were like quite toxic. But you have this fake relationship. So after I leave, they hit you up, and I go, no, motherfucker. Like, I didn't say that, but I'm just like, ignore. Yeah. Goodbye, person that didn't serve me. Yeah. That I was forced to have a relationship with at one point. And my life is better. I only have people around me now that are chosen. Yeah, I feel that way. And then obviously this is like my team. Yeah, they're all so lovely. It's just full of smiles. My friends and then these people. I think it's important to have that though. Like, I don't get the whole, do it, just get through it, grit your teeth and get through it, grin and bear it. I think in certain situations in life, sometimes you know, that kind of serves a purpose. But when they're around you all day, every day, and they're meant to be your people, or they're the people that you spend the most time with, they need to be the right people for you and your mental health. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned in the past year. It's just having people around me that really care. Yeah. And if I need, you know, a 5-minute
break because I'm about to have a fucking anxiety attack, they know already that I don't even have to say like anything. They're just like, go. You know, I think that's really important.
It's so important. It's like even if those people just take 1 second of, like if they just take 1 minute of your day, these things that aren't serving you are just taking 1 minute of your day. It's this like slow, you imagine like a parallel line just going straight, right, just going straight. And then if you just nudge it 1 degree, then look at that parallel line 50 years later.
Yeah.
Just the 1 degree nudge will mean that it goes in a completely different direction. And that's what I think these minor decisions which don't serve you do. They just nudge you 1 degree away from yourself. You don't notice today because it's just still going straight. It looks like it's going straight still. And then you nudge it again 1 degree. You know, you make friends that aren't right. You take that job or that opportunity that nudges you 1 degree away from your principles and your morals and who you are. You just give it 10 years, look at that line, and it will be fucking off there. And that's the thing with these like small decisions. They don't appear to matter in the moment, but in fact, as you zoom out and look at what the impact that 1 degree had on that line, it completely changes the trajectory of your life. So like being obsessant, and this is, I mean, the other example I could give is brushing your teeth. Like, don't brush your teeth today. The teeth aren't going to fall out tomorrow. Don't brush your teeth the next day. They're not going to fall out on the 3rd day. Don't brush your teeth on the 3rd day. They're not going to fall out on the 4th day. 10 years later, you're in the fucking dentist chair and he's pulling them teeth out. Yeah, and you didn't even see it happen.
Yeah, it's so true.
Because it's slowly compounded against you, and every single thing, from your health to your friendships to your mental health to your success to your finances, they are all currently compounding for or against you, and you can't even see it. And like that, I read this book called The Slight Edge, which talks about these tiny decisions, talks about how the Grand Canyon was created from, like, if you drop water on if you just, like, I think I talk about it in the book a little bit.
Yeah.
If you drop water on a mountain, nothing happens. But if you do a drop and you do it for like 1 million years, you have the Grand Canyon. Like, that's the impact that water has on stone. Just drip on stone. Nothing's going to happen today.
Yeah.
But you do it for 1 million years, the fucking Grand Canyon. And it's the same with us. That's why I'm obsessing about small decision making, because I know that it's like invisibly fucking me or serving me.
Yeah.
So.
Because sometimes you can get to a point, oh, I swear I'll do it another day, or, you know, like with the party situation, just next time, you know.
Yeah.
It's not next time though, is it? Because I know it wouldn't be next time. And it's just kind of getting to that point of being brave enough to respect yourself, really.
Yeah.
That's all it boils down to,
Yeah,
just
exactly.
respecting yourself.
In you know, things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. So it's like easy to brush my teeth. So it's also easy not to brush my teeth.
Yeah.
And it's easy to save £5 it'd be easy to save £1 a day. So it's also easy not to. And it's like that decision with your friends coming to the party. It's easy to invite them to the party, but it's easy to invite them. I can't remember my train of thought, but yeah. My point is, it's easy in the moment just to make that like flippant decision either way, to invite them or not to invite them. But over the course of time, that tiny little decision, which was easy to do or not to do, what makes just the most staggering difference. Yeah. As it does with your teeth.
It's funny you say about brushing your teeth. Like when I was in like the midst of my depression, brushing my teeth would be the first thing to go out the window.
Yeah.
And it's so gross. Yeah. It's honestly so gross. But that was a huge thing for me. Like I would go days and days literally just sitting there, not having a shower, not washing. It's so disgusting, but brushing my teeth would be that one thing that I just couldn't bring myself to do. Like I don't know, it just seemed so far away. Like my toothbrush was there, but I just can't do it. And then you get to a point, I mean, my teeth weren't falling out or anything. Luckily I didn't get that far, but you get to a point where you're like, shit, like this is actually having a bigger impact on me. It's just brushing my teeth, but that's my trigger. Yeah. Or that's at least my warning sign. Like when I start to not want to do that again, I know I'm kind of going to go downhill. So I've got to wrap it back up before that happens. Yeah. Like not wanting to cook and not brushing my teeth are like the things that lead me going down, down, down.
And don't you think those two things have a two-way relationship? I wrote about this the other day, and I don't think I've posted it, but I find it fascinating that like when my emotions dip, what you've described there, your behavior then dips. So let's say I get really stressed in business or my relationships or whatever, my romantic relationships. Then like going to the gym, finding the motivation to go to the gym starts to wane. And then when I don't go to the gym, because they have a two-way relationship, my behavior goes down. and then it becomes even harder to do. So when you understand that your thoughts, or let's say your emotions and your actions have a two-way relationship, you can hijack the other one by doing the other one.
Yeah.
So like for me, when I'm feeling like low and my motivation for the gym starts to dip, I know I can pick up my emotions by focusing on my actions. So like when you feel like shit, this is why a lot of people say when you feel like shit, just focus on your actions. Get up, brush your teeth, put the shoes on. Even if you don't fucking feel like it, go for the walk. And then you go for the walk, and after the walk you feel better. And what you've done there is basically hijacked your emotions by focusing on your actions.
And then your day gradually gets
and
better
then
and better.
and then the cycle, it's a because
It's exhausting,
they're interlinked.
though.
Yeah.
Like, let's
It's
be
hard.
honest with each other. Like, when you're fucking depressed, it's like that seems impossible.
Well, I can't speak to it because I don't know, so I won't even hazard a guess. I'm not going to be naive enough to say simplify it.
Yeah.
But I have like micro swings in my emotions, and like I've been working out for a year and a half. I go to the gym every day.
Yeah.
And it's interesting when there's like emotional chaos in my life. I can't find the motivation at all. I'm like, why would anyone work out?
And that's how you start to pick yourself up, by focusing on your actions.
I just go to myself, fucking put the shoes on, and just go, I just go stand at the gym then, if you don't want to work out.
I'm going to voice note that and play it to myself every
Steve
time.
does it in his head. I go, I don't fucking want to go to the gym. Like, just fucking put the shoes on, you fucking bastard. Like, and then you go. I'm like, go fucking put the shoes. And I was like, just go fucking, but like, I always say to myself, like, you got to make decisions from your memories, not how you're feeling sometimes.
Yeah.
And my memories tell me that every time I go to the gym, I feel better. So although I don't want to go now, and there's no part of me that wants to do it now, I know, I trust in my memory, my past experiences, and I'm going to put my shoes on, and I'm going to order this fucking Uber. Once I click that Uber button, I have to go.
Yeah.
And I go to the gym, and I'm stood there, and I start working out, and I start to feel a bit better. And then, by the end of it, you come out of it, you're like, yeah, gym every day. Like,
yeah, exactly.
So,
you get to that point. Do you feel like you need to do it with someone, or can you do that on your by yourself?
I do it myself, yeah.
Do you? Yeah.
It's taken a long time to get there.
Yeah. How long did it take you?
A long time.
Really?
I was like a total failure in the gym for a long time.
Because I go to the gym, but I do feel like when I'm having a depressive episode, I don't want to not do it, because as you said, it's from memory. Like, I know it makes you feel good, I know it makes you feel better, it will change my day, but I have to have someone with me.
Yeah.
Either someone with me, or a walk with a friend, or just that connection, because I won't let them down. I have a habit, or had a habit, that I'm really trying to get out of, is letting myself down, because it's just me. It's that thing, that one decision that can make you go a bit wonky. So if I'm doing it with someone else, I'm never going to let them down. So it helps me. But then there's a fine line between like relying on them too. So
what you've described there is what we call like a pact. It's like almost like you can almost think of the word as like a promise, and what you're creating is this like social pact where my motivation is now coming from my desire to not let them down. Some people create a financial pact where they'll have to like donate £100 if they miss the gym. This psychologist I spoke to once was like, I have a $100 bill in my wardrobe, and if I don't go to the gym, I have to burn it.
Oh my God.
And he's created this like financial like
if I could do that.
pact. That if he doesn't, and you're just describing the same thing. This is why like PTs help, and if you make the appointment with your friend, then you're going to have to follow through. But it's not coming from like your own internal motivation. It's a pact you have with some external thing. Which again is very easily destabilized when the friend goes. Or the pact is somewhat broken.
And I really try not to rely on these people. Like, don't get me wrong. It used to be a regular occurrence. Like, I feel shit today, I'm just going to text my friend and say, can we go to the gym? It's not like that anymore. It's like, yeah, I feel shit, but do I really need them? No. Like, I'll go through my own sort of process of, do I really need them to help me? My gym is downstairs. I haven't even got to go outside. So do I really need to do that? No. Maybe I'll just put some music on instead, and that will just lift my energy a bit, and then I'll go.
But why, so my thing there, and this is what I came to learn about myself, is that why do you want to, on that day,
why do I want to go to the gym?
Why do you want to go?
Because it makes me feel good. And it used to be from a place of looking good, to be honest. And now it's more from a place of, I want to be healthy. I've learned a lot about my health over the past year. I don't want to get to 70 years old and, be struggling, to be honest. I want to be the healthiest version of myself, and the gym really does make me feel that way, even if it's a half an hour uphill walk.
Yeah.
Like whatever it is, if it's a hard gym session,
Yeah.
a Pilates class, a really long walk, all those things are gonna push me and put me in the direction of a better me. So yeah, it's not really from that vain place anymore of I want a six pack or I want abs or I want toned arms. Yeah, all that stuff's great as well. Like, I'm not gonna lie, but you know.
Yeah, that was the big shift in my life, is just making sure my reason for doing things was to be fair, like honest and for me. And whenever it's honest and for me, there's a chance that I'll be able to reach consistency.
Yeah.
So whenever it's for something external or it's the superficial things or whatever, or for summer, then as I said, like on my story the other day, like when summer happens or I get the six pack, my motivation becomes unanchored, and I go into October and I have this fucking crisis. I'm like, why would any human being ever want to go to a gym? Like, and just really being anchored to that long term, unshakable, unachievable why just changed my life. And now, like, the gym is not a choice that I make, like most days. Sometimes I have these wobbles. Like,
Is it like brushing your teeth?
It's just something that I do. It's like I breathe, I eat, I go to the gym, I go to work every day. It's no longer a choice. It's part of this like one season mentality I have, where what are the things that I could do for the one season of my life sustainably? And and that was just this really powerful mindset change I've had.
I guess for some people it doesn't work for them. Like the gym's not for everybody. It might be yoga or it might be running or
exercise
whatever.
Is
just in general.
Yeah.
But what I find interesting is when, I don't know about you, but when I have my low moments, why is it always the things that make you feel better and make you better that you want to kind of let go of first? Like you don't want to eat healthy, or you don't want to go to the gym, or you don't want to read the book that's really helping you, or I don't know. Is that what happens with you? Like I just want to eat shit. I don't want to go anywhere. I want to watch shit TV. Why is it always like the opposite of what you should actually? I hate the word should, but you know.
I think a lot of those things offer like a short-term feeling of comfort, or like a short-term chemical release. You see the same thing with drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
So I think when we're feeling bad today, we try and medicate in a number of ways, and that might be like Netflix binging, not moving, or it might be pizza or other forms of drugs, and it just feels like a psychological form of medication. Like having a donut does have a short-term psychological boost for you because of sugar and all the stuff in it that makes it addictive. Having a kind of, so I think that's what we go in search of when we're feeling bad in the moment, and our long-term values fall by the wayside because,
and you feel guilty after.
You feel, and this is a problem. It's a downward spiral because then the next day you feel like shit. You feel even more lazy. Your fitness has decayed slightly. Your stamina has decayed slightly. You're a little bit weaker. So therefore, you want to go to the gym less the next day, and you actually want the pizza or the donut even more the next day, and you don't want to leave bed more the next day. And it's that downward spiral.
Yeah.
And so that's why I talk about this harmonious two-way relationship between our emotions and our actions, because it's very difficult to be laying in bed with pizza crumbs on your chest after just watching 7 hours of Netflix and go, feel better.
Yeah, so true.
Feel better. Like trying to hijack your emotions just directly and go, feel better, Louisa. Feel better. That seems like a big mountain to climb. I actually think it's easier to say, go put on your shoes, motherfucker. And then that's the way you'll feel better. And to focus on your actions, and it seems a little bit more achievable than, because it's like, when we have like blurry goals, like I think they call them like squiggly goals or like whatever, which is like feel better.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Where do I start with this task? It's like your to-do list. If you write clean house, you're fucked.
Yeah. What bit first?
Yeah. If you go clean kitchen and then you time block it and go between 12 and 1, you've got a high chance of doing it. So things like feel better, telling yourself just to feel better or to be happy, they're not helpful. Put your shoes on. Putting in your calendar, we're going to put our shoes on at 12 o'clock, seems like a smaller stone to carry. Like it feels like if you're trying to climb Everest, which is actually what it's like to change your emotions, it feels like just to focus on the small little thing that I can do and dedicating a time to it, making it as specific as possible is probably the way out of that, an easier way out of that.
Because it doesn't seem so big.
It's so small and I get it. Okay, put my shoes on. What next?
But then were you going to walk around your house with shoes on all day?
Yeah, it's a start. It's a start. And it's
Exactly.
like, put shoes on, then like put pants on.
Yeah.
And we'll
Shoes
come back to
before
this tomorrow,
pants.
yeah.
Interesting choice.
Put bra on. Yeah, put bra on. Now go for a walk. It's like
Yeah. You've got to do it in steps sometimes. It's just
Yeah.
what works for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's an easier way
Yeah,
than just trying to hijack your emotions, because that feels impossible.
it does.
So,
Yeah. We have, in this series, episode, situation, whatever you want to call it, a little section called Yeah, but how are you? And it's basically, in this moment here now, I want you to be as honest as you'd like to be with people and give me a little bit of an insight into how you really are right now. Because I just think it helps other people see, you know, even us here right now, we're having a chat, but something could be going on for you. You might not be feeling your best today. You might be feeling amazing today. Just whatever it is and how you deal with that and how you get yourself, I know we've spoken a lot about this already, but how you get yourself out of something if you are feeling a certain way.
so the question is essentially like,
How
am
are
I
you
feeling?
right now?
It's a good question. So life is split into loads of different boxes, right, and categories. That's kind of the way that I think about it. I think my overall feeling is of contentment. Things feel like I feel content, generally, and then all the little different boxes, they all have different feelings attached to them. So like the professional side of my life, I think is going really well at the moment. There's a lot of there's a lot of question marks in that part of my life. Because I'm now starting new businesses. And at the very start of starting a new business, you don't really know what the fuck you're going to do, the business model, like making an offer on an office, don't really know who we're going to hire, how I'm going to raise the money, all these things. So that part of my life is all lots of question marks.
Yeah.
And I address that by just attacking, as opposed to like letting the psychological discomfort of unknowns and uncertainty, like that essay you've got to do, push me into procrastination. I just try and attack it. And my remedy for solving that professional uncertainty is just to try and work really hard.
Yeah.
And just try and do all the pieces at once. And then in my like personal life, it's a bit like yeah, no, like in my like romantic life, there's just so many question marks. Did we talk about this on the phone?
A little bit.
Like the girl I'm dating lives in Indonesia, and it's hard to stay connected to her because she's in Indonesia. So it's a challenge. Every day is like another challenge. I like wake up and I'm like, I don't know how it's going to be today. Am I going to hear from her? Is she going to be amazing? She's also struggling as well. So you get different waves of the person. You get one day it's amazing. The next day she's like, I don't know, depressed or something. And trying to remain stable when someone's at such great distance and their emotions are just like this is tough. And so that makes every day like living with that question mark is tough. And how do I deal with that? I've come to learn to just focus on myself. It's all I can control. Yeah. So she's going to go like this and I can't control her. I'm not going to manipulate her. I'm not going to pressure her. I'm not going to give her a hard time. I am just going to try and focus on being, in my relationship, the best person I could possibly be. And at some point, I might decide that she's not giving me enough. But even at that point, I will be totally fucking respectful. I won't blame her. I won't say anything. I'll just let her know that this situation no longer serves me. But at no point am I going to try and argue, attack, change, control, manipulate, whatever. So I do that every day. It's like every day it's this battle of my ego where I'm just making sure that I don't say anything.
But your ego wants to say.
My ego wants to every day.
I have this battle with my ego.
I don't do it. I'm so good
My
at it now.
ego and my soul, they hate each other.
In romantic relationship.
I've named my ego.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you the name, but I've named her.
I'm going to write a book about love and like the ego. And
I think it's important because a lot of people don't even realise they have an ego.
it just fucking ruins everything.
It does.
And this, in the last 18 months, I can say that I have mastered my ego. Like, I could give you so many examples. Like, I flew to Bali, fucking 22-hour flight, and she basically tells me that she's been with someone else. Like, when we've broken up, so like we've broken up for a year. It's not good for a guy to hear that.
Is this what you were talking about in your book? Or is this
No,
different?
this is different.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, this is different. But even
God.
But yeah, you know.
Damn it.
But when she told me to my face, right? And my response was, kissed her on the cheek and was like, thank you for telling me, babe. Not old Steve. Old Steve's like, we're gonna get revenge. And then, like, after that, I'm in Bali, I fucking flown there. She says to me, like, I don't know what's gonna happen between us, like, we'll see what the future holds. Old Steve's like, manipulate, control, like fucking. And then I sent her a message and I was like, do you know what, babe? Like, you're on your journey, you're having the most amazing time. It's so beautiful to see you happy and da 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 da. I'm gonna leave tomorrow to get back to the UK. I've been there for like 3 weeks, but I just wanted to let you know I'm always gonna be here for you. That was again music. And then she's like, well, can I see you before I go? Like, that's basically what she asked. Again, my ego shows up and it goes, fucking punish her. Don't let her see you before you go. And me, Steve's like, of course I'll see you before I go.
Yeah.
And then
That's growth.
everything changed.
Yeah.
So before I left, she opened up to me. I dumped her. So it turns out that her reaction, her being a bit off with me and like the distance she had with me was all like a form of self-defense. And I think in a weird way, she learned from those like 4 moments where thanks for telling me, babe. That's okay. I love you. I'm here for you anyway. I'm always going to be here for you. It all changed.
Because if you're on the defense, how is anyone going to be able to be that vulnerable with you?
Exactly.
It's really hard to be vulnerable anyway. So then when you've got someone going, no, why the fuck would you want to like pour your heart out to them?
Yeah.
What? Like, you just wouldn't. So.
And it's the most important lesson because I was willing to go and I was willing to leave really gracefully without ever criticizing her, without ever judging her, no blame, no nothing. And when I was finally willing to go and I'd booked the ticket, everything changed. And we have been like in love with each other ever since. We've had the best relationship ever since. And I've continued that ever since. So if she says something to me, which I don't like, or we're gonna have like, we're gonna like FaceTime each other and she's like, babe, I can't, like I'm so tired. I'll be like, take care of yourself, love. Just rest up, you know, we'll talk when you're feeling better. It's okay. And that approach has just been the most amazing, transformative thing because my ego would not have allowed me to form a romantic relationship.
Yeah.
Otherwise, and it's tough.
That fucking ego.
And you know what the thing that really fuels the ego? This societal perception of how your relationship is supposed to be going, how they're supposed to act on Valentine's Day, how much they're meant to FaceTime you. Oh my God, I know, I can't. When they're meant to say I love you. All of these supposed tos, because I'll tell my friends, they'll go, well, she should be, and I go, should be? Where does that come from? I hate the word should. I could live my life trying to fulfill should be or supposed to be. Our relationship is supposed to be, she's meant to be. And it would be misery. And so I said this to my PA yesterday, like, I'm just going to ignore all of the, you're supposed to be. Your relationship is supposed to be like this and see how I get on. And it's going fucking great. No expectation. I'm never going to blame you. At any point, this is a voluntary situation. I can decide it's not for me, but I'm certainly not going to try and control you or manipulate you or to fit you into the box you're supposed to be in. I'm not going to demand you to treat me how you're supposed to treat me, you know? I can express how I'm feeling, of course, but I'm not going to try and... But
you can't control anybody else.
Yeah,
so
there's no point.
It's a losing game, isn't it, really, when you
100%.
try and do that? And 100%. That is literally just the ego speaking.
100%. 100%. It's not your friend.
No.
It's disguised as your friend, but it turns out to be your enemy.
But really, all it's trying to do is save you in a way.
It's like self-defense, but it feels, that's why I say it's friend enemy.
Yeah.
It's self-harm.
Yeah, exactly.
It's your friend. It's, I'll
they never quite get it out in the right way. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much.
No worries.
This has been really fun. I wish we could chat forever, but Max is going to hate us. But I really appreciate you coming on. It's been really, really insightful.
Thank you. I'm so excited to see how this series develops. And I think you're
a
really natural host of a podcast. I think this is very much...
At first I'm like this, and then I calm down.
Well, this is your 6th episode, so of course you would be. You're much better than I was when I started, so that's very promising for you.
Thank you. Well, it was lovely to see you.
Thanks for having me. An honour.
Thank you so much for watching. If any of the stuff we spoke about today resonated with you and you want to reach out to someone for help, please have a look at the links below and don't forget to like and subscribe. Mwah!